Hey there everyone, Sweetchins here, and last night I saw the film 300, Rise of an Empire, and there's a huge amount of CGI in that film. If you've seen that film, basically everything is done by green screen and CGI. Everything is done by that. And it just got me thinking, like, where is cinema going these days? Where are films headed? Literally, the whole environment of that entire film is created by CGI. There is no... I've seen how they make this. They don't even go to the locations. They literally have got a green screen in this room. And it creates these vast environments. But it's good. And that's the problem. Sometimes I think, for a filmmaker, is that not kind of boring? Just creating something in front of a green screen? It's good if you can imagine what it's going to look like. But, I don't know. It just feels kind of dull. Like, right, before I get started, the film is good, and I do recommend people do go see it. It's kind of still violent and stuff, and I know that is part of the style of the film to have all the CGI stuff. But come on, in recent films you've seen in the cinema, how many of them have relied on CGI for stuff? There is tons of films that use this nowadays, which is why these films cost like 100 million to make. It's ridiculous how much. Yeah, anyway, all the environments in the film look really nice. Everything's good. Like, even my friend said, not even real water looks that real. And I was just like, oh yeah, okay. It's like, now that they can create environments like this, surely they're just limited by your own creativity. Because back in, like, I don't know, 60s or something, years ago, even this year 2000, you couldn't really create realistic environments or monsters or anything because of restrictions with technology. But now there isn't really that. It doesn't really exist no more. You can literally create anything with special effects now. Okay, you got it in terms of budget, but a lot of these films get funded a shitload of money now. So the only thing that limits you really now is your creativity. And you would think that being allowed to do all this with CGI now, you'd be able to create amazing films, but in my view, films are just getting more dull as they're going on because of all this CGI. It feels like it's been too heavily relied upon. Like, when a film is shot in the actual location, like if you just look at Pirates of the Caribbean compared to the new 300 Rise of an Empire, a lot of it's ship battles. And don't worry, I know whatever that there's CGI in Pirates of the Caribbean, but when you've actually filmed in a location, you get this more of an organic feel, whereas when you shoot with CGI, it kind of feels set in this way, like there was only one way we was going to shoot this, where like if you shoot in a real location, you might do something that you didn't think you was going to do, and you think, oh, that looks really well if I do it like this. If you're doing CGI, you have to create it to how you've imagined it, so you limit yourself basically, because you can't see all the different ways you could do this. You have to think beforehand to how it's going to be done and then have it like that. And part of the creativity getting limited, I think, is that part of because it's been shot with just green screen? Because as a director or anything, surely what's the inspiration? I would walk in there and I'd be like, ugh, thank God I did a storyboard, because then you know what you're doing. But if you're actually on set in an actual location, you'd look and it can inspire you to have new ideas, and it could be really successful. You know, you can try different things out, or the lighting's really good from this angle. You get a view of this. You know, it helps a lot more. It's like the film The Dark Knight Rises. No, not The Dark Knight Rises, just The Dark Knight. There was extremely little CGI used in that film. There's loads of explosions of cars, but because of that, all them explosions felt that much better. Because when my film studies teacher always said this, when you're limited by budget or just restrictions or anything, that's when creativity seems to flow. And it is true, because with The Dark Knight, you know, you had the truck go over like that, and if you could just use CGI, all you would have probably done is just a helicopter crash, or no, how's it? No, it's a wire. Helicopter crash and blow up, and then the truck, I don't know, just blows up, and you wouldn't even think of it flipping. To be honest, you'd think, you know, doesn't matter. You just think, because you have that way out of the explosion. But Well, they're so limited, they had to think of a way how can you actually do this? And they thought of it for the truck to flip like that. It's quite an iconic scene, and it really works well because you have to work with what you've got, and you work to the full potential of that. Whereas when you just got CGI, I don't know, it's hard to get your imagination going, in my opinion. Others may like it, but I don't know. Like, let's say for example, yeah, in a video game, you have total freedom to do whatever you want. Okay? There's no restriction to do whatever you want. I can guarantee you will soon become bored. Because without restrictions and sort of a path to follow, there's no goal. You know, it's that way you get loads of bored billionaires because they got more money than sense, and it's like, you know what to do with your life. Like, when you work in a job, you know, you achieve, I don't know, a higher promotion, it makes you feel good because you're aiming, you're striving for something. And back to CGI, like, when you've got unlimited resources, you can do whatever you want. That's when you become kind of clueless about what to do next. And it did kind of feel like that with 300. Like, it's a good film, but literally a lot of it just takes place on these ship battles. And so they can create whatever they want, but it's all sort of in one location, just in the sea. And the environments, okay, they look bleak because of the film, but there was nothing in there visually that I would say was spectacular. I mean, the visuals are good, but there's nothing like iconic shots or iconic moments within that film. It just isn't. Whereas other films like The Dark Knight, which has had the lorry flipping, that's something you always remember, that car chasing bit, because it's all real, and it's done in a much more creative way than they have with the CGI terms, you know? It's like the film Avatar. That, don't worry, is a huge success, and I think everyone's fucking, you know, getting high off of that, because that was like all CGI, kind of. And, you know, okay, I can understand with the film Avatar, because that was trying what let's go for, to see how much they go with the visuals and stuff. But a lot of films now, because of all these visuals and stuff, they don't give a shit about the story, and the film's just not memorable. It's literally, okay, you're going there because you want to see an action, you know, be entertained for a little while, but the story's crap. I'm not going to go see it again. I ain't going to think about getting this DVD. It's the stories in films or video games or anything that stick with you. It's not how impressive it looked, because in years later it's going to look shit, you know, compared to how they advance. Whereas the story, that's never ending. That's been since like the dawn of time, stories, and they're the things that truly stick with you. It's not how good something looks, it's more how it affects you personally. But yeah, so that's that video wrapped up. I don't know why I just had to get off my chest I've seen so many films lately, and it's not cheap now, or in England anyway, to do it, and they just haven't been living up to standards. Too much explosions, Michael Bay-ness, you know. But if you are going to see 300, Rise of an Empire, it is a good film. Best bit's the sex scene in it, but hey, you know. So anyway, if you see it, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't, then just leave it alone. Okay, see you later. Stay sweet.